welcome back to DreamHack Summer. It's Sjow versus Felkeine. And Lorinda, I know a lot about Sjow, but I don't know all that much about Felkeine. What can you tell me?
Felkeine's just a solid, he's a solid French player from Armour team. There's a lot of those. Distinguishing him is a little bit difficult in terms of the audience because there's a lot of good, strong French players, but he's played a lot of DreamHacks without particular success so far. I don't think he's ever made a top 16, but he's a player that you should know about if you watch a lot of Hearthstone. If you're casual at home, you're allowed not to have heard of Felkeine, but if you're a fan of Armour team, if you're one of the French people watching this, then you will know this guy. And just one of the 12 or 15 players that makes France one of the
so many good players
best
France.
Country in the world at Hearthstone.
That's a really good way of putting it. Again, when you just look at the HCT nominations, amazing French players like Tars didn't make it because the point grind for those guys is on form. Sjow currently one up, I believe, with the Warlock.
Yep.
Someone's going to correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure, so I'm going to go with Warlock and go with it. Felkeine having lost with his Druid, so got to pick a counter to the Warlock. He is running, let's see, his own Warlock is also even, which is regular, and regular Miracle Rogue as well. He is running Questing Adventurer in his Miracle Rogue, though. He's one of the many players in this tournament that seems to have figured that as a good tech.
One thing I'd like to see here, personally, is Sjow to have a fantastic tournament.
Yep.
He doesn't, whenever he competes, he does well.
Right.
But he never does amazingly. He hasn't won many huge events. And I'd like to see him compete more. And I feel that he doesn't, because he has such a successful stream, he doesn't quite have the motivation to go traveling around the world and do things. And he also just is sloppy when it comes to competitive stuff. Like he forgot to enter HCT.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sort of thing. He missed one of the playoffs one year because his alarm didn't go off and that sort of thing. It just bad things happen to Sjow.
Well, there you go, guys. I know that people have been looking through the HCG lineups and noticing specific, very well-known players are missing. That could be why.
Yeah.
Just forgot.
All right. Son of Fury Protector just played for Tempo. You're against Rogue. Tempo is king. We say it every single time. But Felkeine here has a good chunk of nice, juicy Rogue stuff to play.
Yeah, Hallucination, again, we've seen it a few times in this tournament. It does tend to go hand in hand with Questing Adventurer. Felkeine is running both copies. I've always thought Hallucination is a strong card. Anything that has the word Discover on it.
And the number 1.
And the number 1 does have its advantages, especially in a Miracle Rogue deck where that number 1 is vital.
Yeah,
because of that card right there.
People don't seem to be able to agree on Hallucination, Shiv. SI7 agent's been cut from a lot of decks to down to 1 at this event as well because of the clutter on turns 3 and 4. Personally, I'd struggle to drop those, but the strong players are starting to cut an SI. And people can't. I've seen 2 of any of those cards in different decks.
Shiv is a weird one. I personally dislike Shiv, but my win rate goes up when I play it. So I guess it's good. It just doesn't feel that strong.
I think the discussion we're having is there's only 26 good cards for Miracle Rogue.
Yeah.
So Shiv makes it your deck only has 28 cards in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just 2 cards that are blank that draw another card. So the more you can get rid of it down to those 26 good cards, like again, Hallucination, it's fine, but it doesn't really do that much.
Felkeine very much on the back foot here, though. He's having to play Hench Clan Thug with no weapon down, so just 3 mana 3/3 when there's an Acidic Swampooze on the board. It just shows how strong Acidic Swampooze is against Miracle Rogue, actually, even though it's just destroying a 1/1 weapon that he can get back essentially for free. It slows down the tempo of the Hench Clan so drastically.
Yeah, and Sjow looking here, he's obviously very happy with how this has turned out. And he's just looking for, he doesn't want to heal here, he just wants to put as much on the board as possible. If he can get wide against his Rogue, the Rogue won't be able to come back. That's a long way off happening, but he may have the hand to do that. And something that will help Sjow in this tournament, he's always been a fan of open deck lists.
Right.
A massive fan. He says he's just not a great player against closed deck lists.
Interesting.
He likes to know what he's playing against, then he can beat it.
That's always an interesting discussion because the argument could be made that better game knowledge, or players with better game knowledge, would prefer closed deck lists because they're able to know generally what to be playing around.
Right.
But then you could make the argument the other way around and say that a better player should just be able to play around what...
Everything, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're specialists. I mean, in chess, you know exactly what your opponent's pieces are and where they are and where they're starting the game. If one of those pieces suddenly becomes a rocket launcher and it kills the whole board and you don't play around it in a certain way and it only comes at 1 in 1,000, should you play around the rocket launcher or not, etc.?
That'd be hard to play around.
It would be difficult. Depending on what it did.
I mean, if it destroys the whole board, like you said, then.
Yeah, I'd get a draw against anybody. I'd even draw with like Peter's Fiddler if I could just rocket launch the board 1 game in 1,000. That'd be good. Moving swiftly back to the game.
Dustbat is interesting in Rogue because of the fact that you've constantly got a weapon up. It's actually much easier to take damage and then play it. But he's going to go with Soulfire, which is the more obvious pick. Again, it's got that juicy _1 in the top left corner. Synergizes well with Gadget and Auctioneer at the cost of another card in his hand. But if, yeah, I mean, Cold Blood, Soulfire is looking like a good combo.
Yeah, Soulfire and Rogue just seems blatantly unfair.
12 damage for 3 mana? Yeah.
Maybe Hallucination's good.
Leroy, Cold Blood, Soulfire.
Possibilities.
So yeah, I mean, you're looking at the damage options, but also there's the grind option where these spiders will get it done over time if you just don't die. So that's the two-pronged attack Felkeine has here, and of course he has chosen to play this rogue into this warlock. This is game 2. The idea being that we finish this game at the same time as the rest of the round. But Sjow still managing to I was going to say sort of create threats, but Sap, so good at dealing with anything.
Sap is a good card. Even with Vilespine Slayers, Sap is still a good card to have in addition.
I mean, it gets you to the Vilespine Slayers a lot of the time as well. It's just you do it now, then a couple of turns' time, you'll need the Vilespine. And how does Felkeine actually
okay, all right.
Yeah, going in.
Ow, ouch. That one stings.
Dan's crying.
Yeah, pretty much. Felkeine's concentration there.
Yeah, he looks a fraction nervous to me.
He does.
He's got big shoes to follow, like Maverick, winner of Tour, also on the same team. You know, not French, but honorary Frenchman. So Felkeine has got big shoes to fill here.
Not French, also not Canadian.
He's not Canadian?
That's one of the mistakes we can make. He's not, is he?
Who's not Canadian?
Maverick.
No.
No,
Why
exactly.
would he be Canadian?
Well, that's one of the easy mistakes to make of the French players.
Oh, I see. I was going to say, he's also not from outer space. I hope. Maybe that explains why he could play Control Lock for so long, actually. Maybe he is from outer space. Anyway. I don't even know where I am suddenly. Maybe I'm outer space.
We're in Sjow's shoes right now, and we're trying to find a way to not die to this 16 damage, 17 damage with the weapon on the board.
And he can't play around the Soulfire, remember, so...
We're never playing around the
Yeah, you don't play around the card, you just hope it's a bad card.
What are we saying about Sjow with open deck lists? Well, he doesn't know that there's Soulfire in Felkeine's deck.
Pretty sure the show is just pushing this to rope to prove my APM comment to be completely wrong as well. All right, so Sap, bump, face, win.
That is definitely very Soulfire not even necessary. So Felkeine does take his first win of the series. Game 2, tying it up. Sjow now having to counter Miracle Road, which Miracle Road just seems to be winning over and over and over again. I don't know if you've gotten that impression too, Lorinda.
I got the impression that it never goes 0-1.
Okay.
So I know we saw Casey sweep with it, but I feel that Rogue is getting more than its 1-1 record that your decks need to average more than 2-2 to win 3-2. I don't feel like it's destroying people.
Yep.
But I feel it's very powerful at the job it's doing and very good as a counter deck and quite often just wins the next game as well. So strong, very strong. I don't think it's actually wrecking the entire tournament though.
Sort of like the opposite of what some of us said that Quest Mage used to be, where Quest Mage was sort of a counter deck but often didn't get through, whereas Miracle Rogue is a counter deck that does get through and then often gets through against the other decks as well.
Right, it's good enough. And it's in particular in this meta where, I mean, have we seen an aggro paladin actually played? We've seen 1 or 2 get banned, but that means there's not enough backup that they really matter. We haven't seen an odd rogue, we haven't seen... I don't say the words odd hunter, a bit tongue-in-cheek. We haven't seen any of those really aggressive decks. Just even Shaman.
Odd Hunter came first and second in HCT Taipei.
So
both lineups of Switch and Stats.
Sjow queuing up his even Shaman to play against the Rogue.
Well, there you go. So I'm really not sure about this now because, like I said yesterday, gut feeling was the Shaman was favored. I was led to believe that may not be true, but given the counter cues that we've seen both played by Zixo and Sjow,
going the other way on that, Shaman is the most aggressive deck anyone is realistically playing.
Yeah.
So it's often going to be the best matchup, whether it's favoured or otherwise, against the Rogue, because there's nothing faster.
And also, it should be mentioned that Sjow Shaman is a little bit different to the Shaman.
Oh, what's he got?
Now, we saw in his Mulligan, he's running Kalamos Primal Lord. It's the more elemental version, which has been around for a while, but it's not been in the few that at least I've cast over the last day or so.
I actually feel that's a better deck.
I agree. I think Kalamos is really good.
The versatility. I mean, do you remember when? Well, you will remember, but talking to the people at home as well, when Elemental was first release, and Ball Control basically said that Elemental Shaman won't be beat for 2 years.
He's going to love you for reminding everyone that.
He was right. Here it is. 2 years later. No, but for like 10 days, that deck was unbeatable.
Yep.
And now we've got a situation where you can play most of that deck and have the upside of 1-mana hero power, and it's only a fringe deck.
The story of Shaman back then was very weird for a variety of reasons. You had Elemental Shaman, then you had the Jade Shaman with the Spirit Echo, which was the most popular deck, and then one day out of nowhere, Evolved Shaman appeared and just became the thing for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I had Evolved Shaman on my radar for a long time.
You did, didn't you?
The reason it came from nowhere is the other decks were just better.
Yeah.
Like Evolved Shaman was like the 5th or 6th best deck in the meta. But 3 of the 6 ahead of it were all Shaman decks.
Yeah.
So you couldn't play, or there was no point in playing it.
But now Shaman definitely feeling very comfortable with this even build as Sjow picks up Primal Fin Totem, which is just about going to hit the board in time, I think, by the looks of things. Healing Totem is nice, sort of protecting the Flame Tongue Totem a little bit there. He's not throwing down the Primal Fin straight away. Maybe he's considering dropping the second Flame Tongue and making this trade, which, I don't love the look of that.
No, I prefer the Primal Fin. We did see yesterday Casey, I think it was Casey, just ignore the Primal Fin and deal with the 1/1s just to make sure that the buffs weren't doing enough damage, and just dealt with the Primal Fin in his own time later on. That was a really interesting game. Just make sure that the Flame Tongues couldn't buff the 1/1s to 3, which was the magic number for trading.
Okay, so he's going for the Flame Tongue here. I think if that was a Taunt Totem, Primal Fin would have been a shoo-in. But goes with the Flame Tongue because the Healing Totem can heal that back up into range. He's hoping Felkeine doesn't have a way of dealing with any of this. And actually, Felkeine has a way of dealing with one of them, but it's not a perfect turn by any means. Hallucination does help fix the curve a little bit.
Right, and the Chain Gang follow-up here is going to be backed up. And this Flame Tongue is just going to sit around being annoying with the Sour Knight in the way.
Ooh, okay.
Talking of Evolved Shaman.
These are some cards.
I mean, Grumble has to be too expensive, right?
I think so.
It's a card you would love in Miracle Rogue on turn 10.
Well, yeah, I was thinking Shadowy Strider, shuffle that back, get more spiders shuffled into the deck, but no. Unstable Evolution, definitely looking like the obvious pick here. Just look how well it synergizes with Farspine Slayer.
Yeah, on which way? Yeah, like right. you could actually evolve your rubbish 3/4 into a 6-drop.
Exactly.
Or you can use it the way...
Just evolve Farspine Slayer into Grumble.
Or you can evolve something else and then play Farspine Slayer. Yeah, just evolve. That's a good way of saving time. Okay, so this is the play he set up last turn, which is to present an awkward-looking board and defend his totems. Now, you're not sapping this, you're not wanting to Vilespine it, but it's doing you a lot of damage just sat behind these taunts. Yeah, this is giving Felkeine a big headache.
It's not an easy turn by any means. Where are the backstabs?
Yeah.
One fan of knives already played.
And what Sjow is doing is making all of the cards require attention. And if there's a minion played, Sea Giant could possibly come in next turn. But he's got a Primal Fin that he can put next to the Flame Tongue and just have constant 3/1s made every turn. So you're forcing Felkeine to deal with his Flame Tongue in some regard at some point soon. What's even going on?
Weird way of playing the card, but he ends up with an 8/8 that's going to cause him to die very, very quickly. Luckily, Sjow doesn't have any volcanoes in this deck or anything crazy like that.
Right, but this thing is going to be a liability, I think, for Felkeine going forward. Maybe it's not too bad, but the Rogue doesn't want to take too many lots of 3 damage.
Sjow can just trade the Saronite in, or maybe just ignore it.
So he's going for the killer punch here because of what's happened with the Hydra. He doesn't need to play a long game. He's just going to kill Felkeine till he dies from it.
Yes, unstable evolution can go wrong, huh? You sat there thinking, I wish I took Grumble.
Yeah. So sapping the Giant seems like a thing he could do because he may be able to remove enough stuff. Maybe he can't.
So many
if he can remove enough stuff, then the Giant might not be able to be replayed. But he's taking such a beating, the Hydra's just going to kill him. Maybe Sjow... Yeah, you can't not play an 8/8 when it's so cheap, actually. Yeah, I was wondering if you could have played the Primal Fin, but this is fine.
So many
Yeah, the 8/8 is so strong here. I mean, Show's just set up guaranteed lethal, right? Like, even if there was a proccable Varspine Slayer, he's still going to get there, thanks to the Bittertide Hydra in the way.
Thanks to your opponent stealing one of your cards, using it, and turning one of his minions into a liability.
Yeah.
Yes, that happened. That sounds like a really bad soap opera. Yeah, so making the play that means he doesn't die seems like all he had. But it's one of those plays where you don't die, but you're dead. Anyway. Not actually going to lose this turn, but...
Ooh,
oh!
Vicious Scalehide actually looking pretty solid here. It can just trade straight into the Bittertide Hydra. And that's actually going to be lethal.
Absolutely ridiculous game of Hearthstone.
Well, I wondered why Bittertide Hydra isn't being played nowadays, and there's your answer.
Yeah, what a hallucination. It hallucinated a lot.
I mean, again, following the logic that Softra presented to me, that the Shaman comes up with a wide board of stuff with very little attack, it just doesn't matter when there's a Bittertide Hydra to put all of these weak minions into.
Just kill me, please.
Because suddenly, 1 attack becomes 3 attack.
Sjow 2-1 ahead. Both players are 4-1 in this Swiss. Just go a quick look through the other players on 4-1 while we're waiting for game 4 to start. We're talking about Just Saying, we're talking about Felkeine, we're talking about Fury Hunter, Satris, Yanetsky, who made a hilarious Twitter post about how you build your lineup. Basically, he just told the truth about how a lineup gets created, and it's like, it's not the super professional thing you might think it is. It's still professional.
Oh, I need to give that a read.
Yeah, give that a read. A lot of people have enjoyed that tweet from Yanetsky about how lineups come. We've got Viper, Knights is doing well again, Dragon Albert is doing well again, Vegas, Thomas. These are the start of this round. I haven't got the updates for including this round yet. I'll have a look for those shortly.
That's going to be exciting to get a little bit later on, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
In the meantime, it's going to be the Odd Warlock again. Felkeine also running Stubborn Gastropod. Now, this is a tech that I had completely missed. I'll be honest about it. I completely missed it until you and Tyler told me about this on...
At the airport. Tyler arrived with a stack of suitcases bigger than himself.
Yeah, just talking about snails.
Yeah, snails are...
That's how long he'd been traveling. He's just talking about snails at this point.
Snails are really good against totems, is point number 1 right now.
Yeah.
They kill 0/2s and don't take any damage. That's great. But the reason the snail's an interesting card is because it's competing directly with, in most people's minds, with Doomsayer. Some people play both and then to cut a beetle or something.
Yeah.
And the reason it's good is Doomsayer, sure, is fantastic against a Shaman on turn 2 or 3, blows up the board, stops them playing their Flame Tongues, whatever. But later on, Doomsayer becomes a liability when you want 6 mana or 8 mana turns and you want to play it alongside your other minions because you're blowing your own board up.
The issue with the snail that I've found so far, which has always been the problem with the Stubborn Gastropod actually, is that there are a lot of minions like the eel that deal 2 damage to something, Fire Element, Direwolf Alpha that can knock off a weaker minion and trade into it. There are lots of little ways of removing it, so I'm yet to be convinced, but also I believe that these players know what they're talking about, and I look forward to being convinced.
It's mainly, I think it started, I think it was Theo, but I could be wrong, as a mirror tech.
Right.
So it just kills giants.
Okay. Makes sense. It does do that. Snails do kill giants.
But it's also very good at getting through Lich Kings and stuff when you're just pushing for that last bit of damage against a control deck that's kind of stabilized. So you drop it on turn 6 or 7, they do their Lich King thing, and it protects you on the minions and kills their Lich King.
The thing is, like I was saying to you before, I have been convinced by the Trog Gloom Eater, and they're very similar cards. There's just a 3 mana cost difference and a 3 health difference. That's it.
I think, yeah, I agree. I think the Snail's seen a lot more testing than the Gloom Eater has. That's not to say it's better or worse.
And the Gloom Eater's only good because of Hadrock and Okar.
Right, and the Snail's only good because you can't play better removal cards. Let's not mess up. No one is claiming Snail is super good. It's just the jury is out on how good or bad it is. Meanwhile, as the Snail story comes to an end...
This is a fireboard waiting to happen.
Yeah, it really is. Very difficult for Sjow to avoid this.
But Felkeine has to consider, is it worth it? Maybe I can wait one more turn and defile next turn. The problem is, what if Sjow plays around it? Well, it's difficult for Sjow to play around it while the Primal Fin Totem's on the board, actually, because it's spitting out a 1 health minion each turn.
The thing that is different here from the other times we've seen this matchup is Haggith is actually in hand for it.
Ah, yeah, that's true.
So we've got 2 or 3 more turns of posturing, and then if Sjow can force a bit of damage through and somehow keep the board a little bit longer, and all those things are big ifs right now, there's a Twilight Drake ready to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe Haggith could just change the game around.
It still has to go a very specific way for Sjow.
Yes.
Like, he has to be able to play the Haggith without a bunch of giants staring him down for a turn. Like, he has to have the space to do that. It's sort of a very, very specific situation that allows for Haggith to be played from the hand in this matchup. And Sjow is going to be building towards getting there.
Picking up a Sea Giant should act as a healthy distraction, at least as a distraction. It might just act as a game-winning card, but there's Siphon Soul in Felkeine's hand, so probably doesn't straight up win the game like he would like.
Regardless, though, Sjow is keeping control of this board nicely. Hex doing its job, slowing Felkeine down even more. And now, actually, Felkeine doesn't have anything good to play from his hand whatsoever. The Snail's not looking any good. I guess he could Hellfire, but that barely seems worth it here. He's going to just go with the 4-mana 4/4. I believe.
Oh, Show's drawing things in just the order he'd like them as well.
Yeah. Less than 6 seems fine. He's holding on to it, though. It's a weird game of chicken going on here.
It really is.
It's like... Okay, oh no, it's fine. He's just gone with the other big play, which is the Sea Giant. That makes sense. Fire Elemental ideally could be played after Haggith, I suppose.
But he has built up this wide board that's a little bit more menacing than some of us have seen. Okay, it's not so menacing anymore.
That's a good Hellfire. That's way better than if he Hellfired the last turn. And Snail, again, attempting to do its thing.
But again, going to be thwarted in its tracks, like you pointed out a couple of times as well.
Fire Elemental just seems to eat up the Snails every single time.
Yeah, it just does.
Burning them alive. It's not nice.
No, it's not.
And it does look like how the...
But he is French. So maybe you can have them for dinner or something. Right,
okay, fair enough. It does look like Haggith will be playable on turn 8, though. Felkeine isn't going to do anything future. He's going to Spellstone away one of the minions. Trade into Fire Elemental. So, yeah, okay, Haggith does clear up Show's own stuff. Wait. We're close to lethal, though.
I mean, he's been pushing sneaky damage for the last few turns.
This is 11 damage this turn.
Wow.
With Eel going face as well, this is actually astoundingly close.
What healing does Felkeine have? He has just a Siphon. He's got a long way to get to Gul'dan. See if Sjow can get there. Again, I love watching competitive Sjow, the level of concentration. Because when you watch a guy who streams for 12 hours, by hour 12, whoever they are, unless they're Tyler, they're struggling a bit.
Yeah.
And you see how good Sjow is in these sort of tournaments. Just a quick note, Seiko and Pool 8 have both the 6 and O's remaining in the tournament.
Wow, okay. You had a chat with Pool 8 earlier.
I did have a little chat with him. He's very excited. Again, he's learned from Valencia. Hopefully we get to see him later in the day, see what he can do. But we're not going to see much more of, well, I mean, the loser of this is still in. The loser of this is 4-2, so we still might see more of Felkeine if he can't find a way out.
Look at Felkeine's stance right now, the way he was just gripping his hairline.
Yeah. Which is an advantage he has in this matchup.
What, a hairline?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly.
What can he do this time? So he can siphon away the 8-3, putting him at 8, leaving Sjow with 2 damage on the board. Or he could play the Lich King, which just loses to Hex. So, yeah, Siphon Soul does look like the only way to survive, and that is the play he's ended up with. Doesn't look too happy about it either.
Yeah, and you can see why.
Now might actually be the Hagatha turn. It kind of sucks blowing up his own board like that, but he can deal the damage first, then play Hagatha, and then start to have a potential to draw Lava Burst every single turn. Yeah,
he can also go wide. If he goes Hagatha now, he can go wide going into the Gul'dan turn and just say, if you Gul'dan, I kill you. We've seen that strategy a lot. But he also has the thing here where he can just go Hex, especially now he's got the 1-1 totem. Next turn he can Hex something and get through with all the 2-3s.
How long?
That may have actually changed his mind on the play. Because Hex plus a 1-1 is just such a clean way through. And 6 is such a clean way of doing 6.
I guess Hagatha's going to end up having to be the play for after Gul'dan if Felkeine starts to stabilize as a desperate attempt to grasp some more cards.
How does he not die?
How does Felkeine not die?
Yeah.
Many possibilities.
The 1-1 plus the Hex. After rolling that 1-1, I think Sjow changed course, realizing that this could happen.
The answer is...
I think he was ready to Hagatha like you wanted him to, but...
He does not die.
Sjow gets through.
Sjow takes the win. He's now... What's the score for Sjow now?
5 wins, 1 loss. He's looking extremely good and extremely confident.
Wow.
And good to see Sjow doing well. Muzzy, another player on 5-1 right now. We've never seen... in the European DreamHacks, the Americans really come across and dominate. There are physical reasons for that. It's hard to play Hearthstone after you've flown across the Atlantic.
Yep.
I've experienced this. But Muzzy, his 3rd or 4th trip now, 5-1, looking really good.
But like you said, I mean, it's great to see Sjow performing. It's always nice to see a big streamer doing very well.
Yeah.
Cora, what did you make of those series?
Been a while since we've seen Sjow in the limelight other than, you know, on his own stream.
Exactly.
And he was a competitive player for a very long time before, you know, his stream really took over as his priority. So seeing him back on the competitive stage doing so well with a 5-1 record, that is really, really cool. So congratulations to Sjow for taking that win right there. That first matchup, that was pretty close, though. PNC versus Zixo. Yes. You hate to see these two guys match up against each other, especially when it is essentially an elimination match for top 16 qualification. So that one was a little bit
I actually love to see
disappointing.
that. I love to see 2 of the best players fighting to the death in an elimination
Cage
game.
match?
Yeah, no.
With Lions?
In Hearthstone, Cora. Let's keep this civil here. It's just the most exciting Hearthstone we can watch,
Nothing
right?
civil about Hearthstone, Falk.
I thought you were nice. I thought I was the horrible one. Deathmatch Hearthstone. Anyway... But yeah, I understand the point, actually.
2 of the best players in the world.
You know they're putting up their
tournament
best.
live.
Yeah, they are putting up their best play. No mistakes allowed, etc. So you are right in that regard, for sure.
I don't think it's Hearthstone Cora wants to cast here. I think she wants to cast something very different.
You have no proof. I don't know what you're talking about. I have been hired to cast Hearthstone, and gosh darn it, I will cast Hearthstone. Civil Hearthstone. And we have a lot more Hearthstone coming up for you today.
We do.
That was just round number 6 of the Swiss. We've still got 3 more Swiss rounds coming your way before we make that cut to the top 16. But that is going to do it for Swiss round number 6 of DreamHack Summer, the HCT Grand Prix. But we are going to let the last few matches finish up, and then we're going to get into round number 7 very, very shortly. So stay tuned, guys. We're going to be back with round number 7 in just a little bit.